Hello, hello. We've got some very interesting drama today. This is Object Show community drama. This is kind of interesting for me because I actually have a lot of history with the Object Show community, way before I did like Dead by Daylight content. I think it was way before I even like graduated high school. I have some history with the Object Show community. It's because one of my close friends at the time was a content creator for the Object Show community. He was actually fairly sizable, too. He had, like, 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I voice acted in one of his shows. And it was, like, hundreds of thousands. It was, like, one of the episodes was, like, 250,000 views, essentially. So he got around, you know? Like, he was, there was a huge market for it. And he got around fairly well. But, what wound up happening was I wound up being one of the two people involved in canceling him because for reasons. That's definitely going to be a video I react to. I found a video essay on it, funny enough. So I guess that's going to be a video we're going to react to for another time, and I'll go more in depth with that. But we're here for this guy named A Person on YouTube. Apparently this guy was born in 2003, so I think that would make him 21 to 22 years old-ish. We'll just get this going.
Recently, a 100k sub YouTuber in a niche community was exposed for having... Actually, let me just read this YouTube drama title. Object Show YouTuber, a person on YouTube, has been exposed for having a fart Discord server and for asking a title minor to fart in his microphone.
Oh boy. So, listen, we've seen a lot of allegations on the internet. I've seen quite a handful of them. You know, we've gone from grooming allegations, which in most cases wind up being nothing burgers online. Then we see, like, pedophilia accusations. A lot of them tend to be nothing, with a lot of outliers, of course, EDP and Silly Laverne being one of them, or a few. But, yeah, we've seen a lot of serious allegations. We went from those to cheating allegations, which wind up being nothing burgers most of the time. Probably all the time, actually. And now, we have fart fetish allegations. Now, asking a suicidal minor to fart in his microphone, I need so much more context than that. That's... Okay, I get this is what I expect. I mean, the Object Show community is pretty terminally online, all things considered, so I guess we'll see what we have.
Now, to correct the record, the accuser, whose story we'll read here in a moment, clarified this and said that they turned 18 23 days before this incident happened.
Oh. Okay, I mean, whatever. I don't know if I care that much. It's like they're asking to fart into the microphone. It's still very, I don't know, man. Little strange. The proper timeline that he followed me in November 2024 and wanted to be friends with my Fire Affy February art. Okay, I guess that's like an OC they have in the Object Show community. I turned 18 on March 29th. He DM'd me exactly 8 days after that, April 5th, and asked that for that thing 23 days later. Okay, I don't know. Listen, I'm going to be real with you. It really depends. So how old would this guy be at this point? This, like, a person? So Leafy is, I guess, the alias of A Person on YouTube. 2025. So that would make them... I just have to check. How old are they? Okay, so he is 21. So that would make the age gap here... that would essentially make this person 17 while he's 21. If I had the fucking person's exact age, that would be really helpful. I believe that would make this a 3-year age gap. A little bit more than a 3-year age gap. It might be like 3 years and a couple of months. In which case, I don't really care that much, personally. If it was a 4-year age gap, I'd say it might be a 4-year age gap. And if that's the case, I would say it's inappropriate. But if they turn 18 in 2025 and he turns 22 later this year, that I guess technically would make it 4 years. So I'd say it's inappropriate if it's a 4-year age gap. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a bad, like, horrible predator and that this needs to follow him for the rest of his life. But, like, I don't know, man. It definitely is a red flag for sure. Okay.
But I saw this title and I had to dive deeper. A Person on YouTube, also known as Apoy, is a channel which covers and makes memes about object shows.
Yeah, like I said, the Object Show community is pretty terminally online. Like I said, I was involved in canceling like a big creator in the Object Show community. I was one of two people involved. Not a lot of people know that. on my old name, Rex. I've had that name for a while, and then obviously I'm under this new name now, but like, yeah. The area rabbit hole, like I said, we're going to dive into that in another video, because I definitely have quite a lot of thoughts about it, considering I was a big part in his cancellation.
Which are various animated YouTube series featuring household objects, with the most popular being Battle for Dream Island, where all the objects compete and get eliminated as the show progresses. It's typically garnered towards children, but it has an adult audience as well. A boy started following...
Yeah, I would say the main target audience is definitely kids, for sure. Like, it definitely, the larger audience is kids, but I see a lot of, like, young adults here and there in these communities as well.
Fellow object show fan Jellyworm, also known as Leafy, when they were 17 years old, and a
Jellyworm when they were 17.
boy was 21. He messaged...
Yeah, like I said, 17 and 21 I don't think is appropriate at all, and a 17 and a 21-year-old probably shouldn't be interacting. If it was a 3-year age gap, I would say it's fine, to be brutally honest with you. I'd say 3 years is generally where I would put the maximum age gaps when regarding someone who is an adult and someone who isn't. 3 years is as far as I would go. 4 years, I would say, is just inappropriate. I don't think this necessarily needs to be a condemnation of this person's character at all, necessarily, for the rest of his life. I just think that, like, this was wrong. You shouldn't have been doing this. That's really where I stand with it.
Leafy for the first time a week after they...
I don't think this story is going to be this sensationalized, hyped-up story that people really want this to be in the object show community, because I can already imagine what people have to say about it.
18, and then after a couple weeks of getting to know each other, Leafy expressed self-deletion thoughts to Apoy in Discord messages.
Oh, okay, so Apoy is a person on YouTube, yeah. But I can't keep it in. Okay, so they're saying that they're suicidal. Yeah, that's definitely tough. They, I wonder what their home life is like. It's probably not good if they feel this way.
And then they went MIA. And then when Leafy...
Probably why they're in the object show community to begin with. I'm not, that might sound crass. I'm not trying to sound crass, but, like, it's probably what that is. Also, I just realized, Exate, aka Connor, who runs this channel, you have a Dungeons & Dragons sweater. I fuck with that. That's pretty fucking cool. Unrelated to, the allegations we're talking about today.
He returned a few hours later okay, Apoy was relieved, but in the span of 8 hours of this incident happening, Apoy was asking Leafy to record and send their farts for his fetish, along with a laundry list of other things being...
Yeah, like I said, I would say that's inappropriate. That's definitely, like, what are you doing? Like, it's like, you want my... I don't know. It's like, what do you... 21 and 17 is just like, it's very inappropriate. It's just shitty. Like, you shouldn't be doing this.
Exposed. Welcome to the internet versus a person on YouTube. It starts when Jellyworm tweets out, "Can I tell you guys something?" And then they quote tweet their post saying, "A person on YouTube, also known as a person on Twitter 21, added me on his alt Discord account and asked me to send him audio of me farting for his fart." And it starts with Discord messages where Ken says, "Okay, I'm a bit embarrassed to say it, but I'll just say it. Would you be okay with maybe recording your farts and send them? You don't have to do it, only if you're comfortable doing that for me. It's a kind of touchy subject, so you can just say no." And Leafy responds with a giant X emoji. Then,
which means no. Okay, cool. But I mean, like I said, I don't think Apoy should have asked for that to begin with. Like I said, the age gap is definitely inappropriate. Right now, Apoy is 21 years old. He turns 22 later this year. And this person is 17. They're about to turn 18, so I guess it would be closer to 3 years, maybe. It might be closer to 3 years than it is 4 years, in which case I don't care as much. But I would need to know that specific information. All right, I did it. We pulled out the age calculator. I managed to get both of their birthdays exactly according to the information that we have. I can't do fucking math, so I decided, fuck it, we're just gonna pull out the age calculator. So, it's actually not a 4-year age gap. It's actually closer to 3 years. It's actually 3 years and 4 months. So, okay. I mean, listen, that means it's a 3-year age gap closer to that. I really don't care, to be honest. That just makes me care even less. Like I said, if it was 4 years, I'd say it's inappropriate. Even then, I'd say it's just inappropriate, but it's not, like, predatory. I really don't think this situation is going to be as super dragged out and as super bad as people want this to be. Like I said, a lot of the object show community is mostly children. It's a lot of kids who don't really understand or have any understanding of any of these social topics. So I think it's important that we bring, like, some level of real world conversation to this, some level of intelligence. So yeah, I did the math. It's closer to a 3-year age gap than it would be for a 4-year age gap, which again, I don't really care as much anyways.
Then there's another screenshot where Ken says, "You're so right, Salem, not this again." And then a screenshot showing some Discord glitch where it showed a person on YouTube's Discord PFP with the first message, then correcting it to Ken. And then a person on YouTube says, "Sometimes it glitches like that and I start freaking out." And then Leafy says, "Light side Apoy is shining in." And
right, we obviously know that this is him, but like I just don't care. This is it's a 3-year age gap, so I don't care.
Ken says, "Stop it, get out of here." And then shows another screenshot of it happening. And Leafy says, "Sometimes it's like I can still hear their voice." Leafy continues the thread saying, "These are all his accounts, I pinky swear," attaching this video where they circle Twitter DMs between them and a person on YouTube, attaching the Discord, then showing them.
So is the extent of these allegations just the fart fetish stuff? Because if that's really all this boils down to, and he gets rejected after he asks for farts, then I kind of don't care. Like, this allegation is just going to seem like a nothing burger.
It's really their Twitter account, and then going back over.
I already know the internet and the object show community are going to apply like a huge level of disproportionate criticism because of this shit, though. But yeah, this is definitely like it's definitely not going to be like super. This is not going to be the sensationalized story people want this to be.
To Discord to show that the username they sent on messages matches. Then
yeah, we know it's him, but I really, like I said, that doesn't really matter that much.
Another message from Ken. This is just to further add proof to that being in the account, where they say, "Perhaps, maybe you need a break from Salem, just like how I need a break from Apoy. Maybe you could have an account that makes you be someone else." And then another message from Ken where it says, "The 3 a person on YouTube genders," attaching these 3 images, and they say, "Dare I ask for the reverse of NB a person on YouTube, female without eyebrows." Leafy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like this and a lot of talk like this is very common in the object show community. I remember all too well. There's a lot of overlap with the art community as well, specifically like on DeviantArt and just like the depravity of like Birdie and stuff. There's a lot of overlap in those communities, and I think you guys can kind of see why.
Continues the thread saying, "I don't know why he thought that was appropriate. I told him I'm squeamish and don't even like fart jokes."
Well, I mean, it was 3 years. I really don't care that much. Like, listen, if he kept begging, if he kept saying you should send me farts, keep sending me farts after you're saying no, then we get into a conversation about maybe like sex pest behavior potentially. But like, we would need to see that. What would also make it predatory is if he leverages his power against you. So if he's like, "Hey, if you don't send me your farts, I will cancel you on Twitter or DeviantArt," then that's an abuse of a power dynamic. And then if he's like, "Oh, if you do send me your farts, then I will network you with all these content creators," then that's a problem. But we would need to see those specifically.
I feel like someone would logically think, maybe this girl that finds farts and fart jokes gross wouldn't want to do this. But maybe the thought did not occur to him. And then they attach messages between
It probably didn't. I mean, he probably just didn't understand that, like, he was making you uncomfortable, which he probably should understand, to be fair.
Person on YouTube and Leafy, where Leafy says, "Also, I'm kind of squeamish when I look at things." And Apoy says, "Squeamish?" And Leafy says, "Gross things can get stuck in my head for a while." And Apoy says, "By gross things, do you mean like..." And Leafy says, "And then sometimes intertwined with my intrusive thoughts." Basically anything that can come out of the human body besides like tears and blood. And Apoy
Okay, so these kids have a lot of fucking mental health issues. I can just tell by the way they're talking. A lot of people talked like this in the object show community, and a lot of people had a lot, like, it's mostly people, I feel like, and this is not necessarily everyone in this demographic, but it's a lot of people who are unhappy with the current staff of their life, and so they use this art as a way to, like, escape, which is not inherently a bad thing on its own, just to be clear. That's not like a dig at anybody. It's more just like me saying that's like the demographic I generally see in a lot of these like art communities and object show communities.
says, "Oh,"
because like I was once part of these communities, so I understand like what it's like to be here and like to interact with some of these people.
"I see. Sorry if earlier when I made that fart joke it was bad then." And Leafy says, "I don't like to make fart jokes." And Apoy says, "He was a fart joke fan. They were not. It was not meant to be." Leafy continues their thread. "Does remember when I deleted my entire account and disappointed from April to June? I was straight up planning my S at the end of April, which also happened to be when Apoy was on their break following the quote Apoy crash out." Now Leafy
so the sewer slidle, we'll say,
attaches these 2 images to the thread, referencing this quote-unquote crash out from April. But I feel like giving the context to this kind of is important to the story, especially for a newcomer who doesn't know who a person on YouTube is. So we'll go on a quick side tangent for a minute here. Back in April, Vagabond tweets out TPOT 17 spoilers, and Vagabond attaches this clip.
Oh, is TPOT, is that their, oh, it's Jack and Jellyfy. That's the original BFDI. That's like the origins of the object show community on the internet. Okay. My reaction to the elimination.
Of them reacting to one of the characters getting eliminated.
Please, come on.
Yes! Yes! Oh, finally! Oh my god! I could never get into object shows in any meaningful capacity. I voice acted for one of them because the person running it was like a best friend of mine at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'll voice act in it. Fuck it, dude. I'll voice act in it. But like, the object shows were never really for me. And mostly everybody just winds up stealing each other's assets anyways, so it's like, you technically have, like, plausible deniability. I know there's, like, a legal contract with, what is it, Inanimate Insanity, I believe is the name of one of the object shows. They do, like, legal contracts, and they actually have, like, a legitimate process with it. So, yeah.
Finally!
I think it's because, Adam, one of the guys who runs it, I think he has, like, a family member who's, like, a lawyer or, like, is able to do legal stuff, so that's how he was able to, I guess, do that specifically.
Pillow's gone! For good! Fuck you, Pillow! Fuck you! Fuck you, Pillow!
266 votes. You are both alive.
Pillow's a retard!
Hey! Don't use that word. Bro, what am I listening to? What the fuck is this?
She got fucking mutilated, yes! She got fucking mutilated, yes! Yes! Oh my god.
Is this how most kids react to object shows? Is this how most kids react to fucking BFOD or just like other shit? It's been so long since I've actually tuned into this community.
A person on YouTube
Bro, this is so... okay.
then quote tweets this clip and says, I was gonna say this on my private, but no, I'm saying it here. I get being happy for characters you don't like being out, but genuinely the lack of respect for Pillow fans is fucking annoying. Pillow haters like these piss me off so fucking much. I hope Donut gets out just for spite. Then
True. If you hate pillows, then how come you would you? I wouldn't be able to sleep comfortably without pillows. Just to be clear, you know, like I don't know. I could never hate pillows. So you tell that person.
and after some backlash for that post, they quote tweet their own post.
Imagine sleeping with donuts instead, bro. Come on, like you got to be grateful for having pillows at night. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to sleep.
And say, okay, that got way more attention than I thought it would. I'll just say that I was pretty heated at the moment because of that quoted video, even using the R slur on a character that many people like myself consider a comfort character. I don't think it's cool to do shit like that. Attaching this picture of the Pillow character frowning. Then after
It's all good. I forgive you. We all have a moment every once in a while.
continued backlash, they quote tweet their
But yes, R slur bad, for sure.
post again with this statement in the caption. Felt like I had to clarify. And the statement is just text and video form where they say, I feel like I should clarify a couple of things before I truly go on a very well-deserved break. People think that the main reason I had that whole moment was because of the Pillow elimination itself. And while it played a part in it, it's not the main reason why I lashed out like that. It more so acted as the final straw to making me realize what people might have always thought of me during my entire life. This gets personal, but I'm tired of just seeing everyone treat me like this, so let me give you a little context on my life. The main reason I made my YouTube channel in the first place was because I wanted to find a place where I could be cared for.
I think most of the people, like, jokes aside, you know, I made a lot of jokes about, hey, you know, if we eliminated pillows, we would have like terrible time sleeping. But like, jokes aside, like, I feel like most people that are actually angry at this are just terminally online kids who don't really understand how the real world works. I feel like those are the only people that are legitimately mad at this. Any adult with like any level of intelligence will look at this and be like, what the fuck am I listening to?
My family always treated me as the butt of the joke since I was always too slow in understanding things and such. So since I clearly did not feel the love I needed in my own family, I looked elsewhere, which was online, the OSC specific.
I feel like you speak for a lot of people when you like talk like this. What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you? Literally, people in the object show community are mostly kids who are not really happy with some of the circumstances in their life, so they use this as like an escape. And it's, in a lot of ways, it's almost parasocial. Kind of, especially with some of the bigger content creators like Jack and Jellyfy and all these other people. It gets very, very online. It gets very parasocial. And so, like, a lot of these allegations are gonna, for the most part, be overblown until someone legitimately terrible happens.
And while I did manage to build a fan base and friends, it was always the minority of people. No matter where I looked, there would always be people talking shit about me. No matter what I did or say, they were there. I cannot look up my name in any socials ever in excitement because most comments about me are not pleasant. I did manage to build myself a defense mechanism, which I often...
Yeah, that's what happens when you get famous at a young age. This person's obviously very, very young. Like, they're still 21, they're turning 22, and they, like, obviously blew up even before they were 21. I said 2021, ugh. But, like, they obviously blew up during a time where, I don't know. I wonder if they blew up during COVID, maybe. That's possible. I don't know when they started YouTube, so I wouldn't be able to say for certain. But they definitely, a lot of young people who get famous tend to stop maturing, I've noticed. Like, their maturity stops, and they, like, stop just, like, learning anything, because you're surrounded in those spaces of no one else but, like, children who are constantly talking about issues and constantly talking about drama without having any legitimate adult understanding of anything. So that's typically, like, what happens when you get famous at a really young age, is you tend to stop maturing in a lot of cases.
And call as a shield, preventing me from having these shit comments get to me. Basically, if they're just random people, why should I care about what they say? And this shield did help me a lot during these years. It helped me.
I mean, that is a good thing to have. Like, you gotta have a thick skin when you're a content creator, for sure, yeah.
Time I had anyone say the worst things about me. Thing is, I think that shield broke just very recently. It wasn't even about Pillow herself getting eliminated, but more so it was seeing people use slurs and so many people actively cheer on the elimination of a character me and many others find as a comfort character. Which, quick side note, anyone who says I'm being a hypocrite because I did the same thing with Rocky, you obviously did not see this video. I made this second video because I started to feel bad for Rocky fans. Since everyone was cheering too much on his elimination, people needed to calm down. Anyways, with the way people responded back when I had that lash out, only
like I said, imagine being an adult living in the real world looking at this drama. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. It's like, no one legitimately cares about any of this.
It made me realize more that I am not a well-liked person. Why should I bother doing anything if I'll always end up being ganged up on no matter what I say or do? It's been like this with my family, and it's been like this with the OSC. It does not change. I can see why people would think I was just being too serious about just a simple elimination. The thing is that it wasn't just that. That was
it's not that serious. Like, this drama is really not that serious.
It's the breaking point that made me think. It was the moment that made me realize that no matter where I look or go, I'll always be the butt of the joke. Even if you don't count the recent event that happened, you can go back to like a couple weeks ago with the whole trans fiasco that happened with me. Or how about people disregarding what
trans fiasco? What are we talking about?
Have to say because I like Eggy? Or what about when people tell me I'm queer baiting when I was just exploring possible ideas? It is not a single incident. I've had to deal with all these kind of stupid arguments ever since I started to get a noticeable fan base, and I just don't get why it's always been like this. I think what I need right now is to take a break, which I've already started, and it's been a little better. I appreciate everyone who said anything about my well-being.
I mean, come back whenever you feel like it, of course, yeah.
It does mean a lot. But as things stay right now, I don't see an actual reason to come back, since I just get back.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think any of this matters that much. He obviously made a clip. He used the R slur, which, again, not good, but, like, whatever. It is what it is. Like, what are you gonna do? And then, like, he's just, like, insulting fans of Pillow or whatever, and, like, it's obviously, like, this whole thing is just, it's very online. This whole thing is, like, very online. I really don't think it's that serious.
The cycle of being harassed and insulted for the smallest of things ever. Maybe I'll change my mind in some weeks or so, I don't know. Without that shield to protect me, I feel a lot more vulnerable to stay in a place like this. I'll still sometimes check on Discord, I guess. There are some people I vented to, which does help, but it doesn't solve the issue at hand at all. My experience with the OSC has pretty much always been this, and they attach this Roblox meme with the caption, "Can we start normalize being kind? Some of y'all are fucking rude, bro, it's insane." And they continue saying, "You can tell why I don't know if I want to come back in the future, right?" But yeah, that's what I felt like I needed to say.
I think what you really need to do is just take a break. You gotta take a break, and you gotta reevaluate yourself and come back when you're ready. Like, just, I don't know. Like, a lot of kids tend to vent on social media, and I've been guilty of this too, so I don't want to say that I'm, like, holier than thou. I don't want to act like I'm holier than thou, because, like, I've done it too. Especially when I was a lot younger, I would, like, change my Discord bios as, like, a vent, you know? I would also, like, post Instagram stories and post Snapchat stories when I was in high school as, like, a weird vent. It's, like, you know, like, I think every young person is guilty of it to some extent. But we have to just be careful not to normalize doing that, because not only are you opening yourself up to making yourself feel worse, but also because there's just a lot of really, like, nasty people online that'll make you, like I said, that's really the only reason. They'll make you feel worse. And learning emotional regulation is a skill you have to learn in life. I know it took me a while to learn it. Like, you know, obviously when I was in high school and then when I was in college onwards, it kind of took me a while to learn to emotionally regulate myself. I'm definitely a lot better at it now than I used to be. And I'm very happy that I'm a lot better at it now, but it's still like, it's just something you have to just learn as you get older and as you deal with more shit. And once I found out how to, like, regulate my emotions more, I started, like, venting on social media, like, way less. In fact, I don't even do it at all anymore, because I'm just not terminally online anymore. I just don't care. I try not to be, like, super terminally online, because a lot of what happens in the online atmosphere, in most cases, a lot of people online are just not real people. And I know you're going to think, oh, well, that's a weird thing to say, Icon. But, like, most people you meet online are either, especially on Twitter, a lot of them, like nowadays, a lot of social media accounts are fucking AI generated. Not all of them, but there are a lot that are AI generated. Some of them are AI generated by other countries that are programmed to actively push disinformation about other countries. You could have a whole political discussion about this, but that's not really the point of this video. A lot of people online pretend to be someone they're not, generally speaking. But in the real world, most people are not like that. They typically don't pretend to be someone they aren't. It does happen in the real world. I'm not saying it doesn't. But in the online atmosphere, a lot of people often hyperbolize who they actually are, essentially.
Since I feel like people did not get the full picture of what I'm currently going through, I hope this didn't come off as me trying to win people over. I just felt like people needed to know the full context on why I lashed out like that. Treat people nicer. You never know what they're going through. So that was the side tangent. Now let's rewind back to the current day. We're back.
All right, we're back to the fart allegations within a 3-year age gap, which I really don't care about, to be brutally honest with you. I don't care.
Again to Leafy's.
Like 3 years is really not that deep. You know, these two probably could have gone to high school together. I guess technically in 4 years they could have as well, but I think 4 years is definitely pushing it. It's definitely a little inappropriate for sure.
And the allegations of the whole.
Even if it was 4 years, again, inappropriate but not predatory.
Fetish content. Leafy continues the thread saying, I sent him a really long and concerning message as I was planning it. I went to sleep and I woke up to 83 messages, as you would when your friend thinks you've attempted S. After this, they decided to add me on their alt so we could keep talking. And then there's messages from Leafy to Apoy from April 27th, roughly about 10 days after that long statement we just read that they put out, where Leafy says, what I'm about to say is going to be incredibly selfish, but I just can't keep it in my head. Or maybe I can, but I'm just being selfish again. I just really wish you stayed on Discord. I think I was pretty upfront about the fact you were the first person possibly ever to make me feel like I was actually cared for, and now I think it was a mistake to rely on one person because I think I'm in an impossible situation now. I deleted all of my tweets on main. Thank God you archived my stuff, and deactivated several of my accounts because I don't think I could just return. Then there's a redacted message and it continued.
What's the redacted message? Is there like a, is it like a trigger warning or something? I don't know, if it's like personal information then I guess fair enough, but like what is the, why are you hiding stuff that you said? I would need to know like the reason why they did it. Like there are valid reasons to redact certain messages. I would just need to know why they redacted it. That's like a little bit, I don't know, when people redact their own messages without saying anything about it, I do get a little bit suspicious for sure.
Going offline wouldn't do anything for my mental health. In fact, I think that makes things—
Oh, it might be like trigger warnings for like, because this person is like very suicidal, they go through a lot of mental health stuff. Okay, fair enough.
worse. But it's what I'm opting for because my third option is just ending it. And I feel like that's a bad idea for a reason I can't really grasp right now. I hope that you end up being okay because you genuinely do not deserve any of the flack you got simply for existing. And I just really miss—
a lot. Unfortunately, I think we need to have like a bit of a deeper conversation. This is a lot more common in the object show community than some people may realize. I'm not even kidding. Like I ran into people like this a lot during my time there. There were a lot of people who had self-esteem issues and like low self-esteem, and you have to be very, very I almost worry about like regular normal people part of the object show community that are exposed to this kind of stuff. Because when you're dealing with all this stuff, like especially at a young age, when like someone is venting to you about like extreme mental health issues at a young age, I think like there's a legitimate psychological thing that can happen where you get like some form of secondhand trauma, especially at a young age too. Like a lot of these people are as young as like 13, 14. Like I was probably like 12 to 13 during my time in the object show community, maybe like 14 as well, I think. A little bit when I was 14, but like very, very young ages that you're exposed to these topics. It's very like that shit can fuck with you like growing up. Like that's like when you go into your like adolescent years, that's like very, very like impactful. And so I think we do definitely need to have a conversation about like obviously like it's kids doing it to each other, but I do think we need to have a conversation about like the mental health of what younger people and what they go through. Some of them do have legitimate rough home lives, but like other people, I feel like it's a big part of it is because they're exposed to other stuff like this that can also make them feel a certain type of way. So I think it's like important that we have productive conversations about that particularly. I think that's I would like to see more conversations happen about that. Because I think that's, like, very important. Because I would listen to this shit a lot, and it kind of fucked with me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying I'm, like, a victim of conversations or whatever. I'm not trying to say I'm, like, a victim of it. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just more, like, it's definitely, like, something that can fuck with you. And, like, once I was out of this space, I definitely noticed a huge difference. Particularly in 2017 is when I got out of the object show community spaces, and I noticed a huge difference in my mental health. So I definitely think it has something to do with that.
All this is intense, but I guess that's what happens. And then another redacted message, and it continues. I don't even know what the point of all this was. I forgot after typing the first sentence. Whatever. I really hope I get to talk to you again at any point in time. Then Leafy attaches a screenshot of all of the messages. There's not really a point in reading this, but you can see at one point...
Wait, hold on. I want to read it. Hold on.
Then Leafy attaches a screen...
Oh no, sorry, Salem, my friend, I'm sorry for leaving you like that. I won't lie to you. I was on break. I did miss talking to you. You did help a lot in how I was feeling. Okay, you better not have done anything like that. Okay.
Shot of all the...
oh yeah.
The messages. There's not really a point in reading this, but you can see at one point Leafy puts there about...
About me is planning to die. Yeah, that's definitely concerning, for sure. This person obviously does have some mental health issues, for sure. I just came back to check up on you, and I'm getting worried. Please don't tell me you did anything bad, Salem. Please tell me you're okay.
Me to say planning to die, and there's just a bunch of messages of Apoy pleading with him. Leafy continues the thread. What?
You know what I bet? I wonder if Apoy and Salem, or this Leafy person, Leafy, Salem, whatever, I wonder if they, like, trauma bonded in some weird way. I'm sure maybe, like, Apoy, maybe Apoy has, like, some level of trauma as well, potentially, and, like, these two may have potentially trauma bonded to some capacity. I wouldn't doubt it.
Did they do like 8 hours after confirming I was okay? Ask me to fart for them. And there's a screenshot of the first message that we read, ending with Leafy saying the giant...
Yeah, I don't care too. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care. Like, you politely rejected him, and like, it definitely is like a weird thing to say. I'm certainly not into fart fetishes, that's for sure. But like, I also don't really care too much about this. I think it's just more like, it's weird if anything. That's just really like what it comes down to. That's as far as it goes.
X emoji, and Ken responds, yeah, that's fine. And Leafy says, this was the worst case scenario in my head. Why did it happen? And Ken says, sorry for asking. I just wanted to know. I'm sorry, but you said no, so I won't ask again. It's what boundaries are all about anyway. And Leafy says, I feel like context clues would have led you to think not to ask that. Leafy continues the thread. Also,
I mean, okay, so just to be clear, listen, yes, understanding boundaries is important, right? Understanding there are inappropriate questions to ask. Was that inappropriate to ask? Maybe, potentially, but like, I don't know, if you guys were already close, a lot of people tend to get very close, and like I said, I wouldn't doubt that maybe some level of trauma bonding might have happened. We don't know for sure. There's not enough evidence to suggest that. But, like, a lot of it is, like, very common where a lot of people talk to each other and they, like, bond over, like, very, very, I guess, like, huge, heavy topics. And so, like, that's kind of why I'm even suggesting that to begin with, because I was once part of these objects of community spaces when I was, like, a lot younger. So I think it's, like, it's just important to, like, bring up that context specifically.
So they immediately told me to forget they asked that. Oh, you would want me to move on from that no questions asked. It is a continuation of the last screenshot where Leafy then says, I'm a girl. I don't even fart. I can't do that. I can only sneeze. And Ken says that...
I don't know. Like, me personally, like, if you say no to him once, then I don't really think that necessarily makes it that inappropriate. If he, now, if Apoy kept asking you to send fart fetishes over and over and over again, even after you're saying no, then we get into a conversation about maybe potentially sex pest behavior. And that would make me a lot less charitable to Apoy. But so far, I'm not really seeing anything that's like super cancel worthy here.
That's true. How silly.
And to be clear, I don't think this girl is coming out of maliciousness. Like, based on the way she's wording it and based on like everything that's happening, I don't think this girl is being like super malicious about it. I do legitimately think she has mental health issues. And again, the online narrative about like all these issues, a lot of social issues like sexual assault, grooming, and pedophilia, a lot of the online issue like narrative is like completely fucked. Like, literally a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old is seen as pedophilia according to the internet. So, like, that's kind of why, like, after Call Me Carson got canceled for it, like, we're over this now. I don't just blindly take the word of what people say now. Like, I actually look into situations. I don't just blindly go with the mob because it makes me look good. That's such a pathetic thing to do. No way.
Need to ask. Forget I ever said that.
Like, I get people are very audience captured, but, like, come on. It's very, like, it's very miserable thing to do. I'd rather, like, legitimately live in reality here instead of just, like, not sensationalizing literally everything we see on the internet.
And Leafy says, I can't forget anything. The thread continues. Funniest part about all this is that he mentioned being into something before adding me to his alt, and I guessed what it was before I read the account's bio because the way he talked about farts stuck out as weird. And then they attach this picture of a boy's bio where it says, boys, don't DM me unless you like BFDI. Non-binary person that wants to find BFDI fans that are also into farts/NSFW, so DM me if you like both things. I do fart trades too. And then messages.
It's like I said, I really don't think it's that deep. It's not a big deal.
From Ken again from April 28th.
Like I said, I don't really, I'm not into fart fetishes personally. That's not really something that turns me on, but listen, if he's into it, hey, I mean, like, listen, you do you, I guess.
About 3 a.m., where Ken says, anyways, as you can see from my bio, you have nothing to worry about. I'm not into those weird things like I or P. And Leafy says, joke's on you, I read it after 2 minutes. That was one of my guesses. What if a...
Oh, yeah, good. I would be I would hope that you're not into any of that stuff, because that would be pretty fucking damning if you were.
Boy was called a freak boy and nothing changed. And Ken replies to the guest's message saying, wait, it was? What gave it away? And then the third message where Leafy says, I wonder, screenshotting an old message from April 6th where a boy said, you definitely struck me as the type of person to just say things like, I've been gassy, but I didn't realize up until now my farts smelled this awful, and I'd find it very in character. And Leafy says, also hold on, I'm looking for food, I can't eat the same thing a third time. And Ken replies to the attachment saying, right. I feel ashamed rereading that. Sorry for that. The thread continues. Up until this point, he was my FP. For context, it just means favorite person. And Leafy continues, and I think he was somewhat aware of this because he took a weird amount of pride in me being emotionally dependent on him. And there's a
do we have proof of that? Okay, I guess we'll see.
message again from April 28th at 3 a.m. where Leafy says, I was going to switch over indefinitely before I realized I had no plan. And to save you the details, my options were either find a reason to stay and end yourself if you don't.
This kid really needs to see a therapist. I hope they see a therapist. I really do. Because, like, I am praying for this person. Like I said, I don't think she's coming forward about this because she's trying to be malicious. She probably was, like, gaslit into thinking that, like, something terrible, like, legitimately happened. Or maybe she thought that something legitimately awful happened to her in some capacity. This doesn't seem like a malicious thing. Like I said, the online narrative about many social issues is completely fucked compared to what it is in the real world. So it's a lot of kids think that things are worse than they actually are. When you're younger, you tend to think things are a lot deeper than they actually are. That's why when you listen to memories of, like, your younger self, or you listen to, like, opinions you had of your younger self, you're literally listening to opinions of a child, and that's something you kind of have to psychologically break. That's, like, a real thing that people go through psychologically. That's, like, a legitimate thing.
And a boy replied, it's me. I'm the reason.
That's definitely a weird thing to say, for sure. That is a little bit of a weird thing to say, because the implication here is that, yeah, I'm the reason that you should stay alive. You know, like, through me, you should stay alive. I don't know if Apoy's trying to be malicious with this. It definitely can come off as, like, taking pride in being emotionally dependent, for sure. I definitely, that does check out. Yeah, it's a weird thing to say, for sure. But I don't know if I would need to know if, like, he's doing it maliciously and he leverages that power against her for some reason. Then that would make this extra fucked up, for sure. But we would need to see that.
Leafy continues the thread saying, okay, that's everything. It's important to say that this isn't about
Oh, wait, that's it?
a fetish. I do not care what you're into as long as it's ethical and doesn't involve people that don't want to be involved. But they involved me, so I have a problem. No, I'm not trying to ruin his popularity or pile on him. I think I'm allowed to voice my discomfort.
Which I do believe. I don't think they actually are trying to do this maliciously at all. I don't think they're coming forward with it for that reason. I think what's happening is they're coming forward with this because they think a legitimately terrible thing happened to them, and they probably suffer a lot of mental health issues, and they look back on it and they think, oh my god, the mental health issues were terrible, and he must have done something horrible to me. This situation, I don't think is going to get much worse. This probably just seems like a nothing burger. There are a couple of things you could point out that are a little bit weird here and there, but, like, based on everything I've seen so far, this is not a condemnation on Apoy's character entirely. You know, I would be a lot less charitable if he was, like, leveraging his power and everything, but he clearly doesn't do that. He doesn't say, like, hey, you know, if you don't send me a picture of your farts, you should kill yourself. Then that's, like, an abuse of a power. But see, he doesn't do anything like that.
effort. Stating this won't stop people from saying otherwise, but hashtag whatever.
Or they don't do it. I actually think Apoy is like non-binary. I think they did say they were non-binary, so I think I gotta respect that. I'm sorry, I did not mean to misgender on purpose. I do apologize.
It's all gonna blow over in 2 weeks, I bet. I'm also not lobbying any kind of accusations at Apoy. Draw your own conclusions from this. I ain't saying anything. Then there were 2 different statements that...
Okay. I mean, like, just to be clear, when you come forward with a story like this, and like I said, this is not me yelling at this Leafy / Jelly person or whoever. Like, they go by multiple names, it seems. But just to be clear, when you do come forward with a story like this, you are leveraging an accusation against them, just to be clear. Now, like I said, I don't think you're trying to be malicious with this. There are people who come forward with accusations very maliciously, and they actively choose to lie, and they actively choose to be very, very malicious and just like push this disinformation to try to cancel somebody. So I don't think that's what this person's trying to do. They probably legitimately believe something terrible happened to them, and so they came forward because they felt like it was the right thing to do. Yeah, no, trust me, it's not like a Katie Bug situation where you're trying to maliciously come forward with information and be insulting to legitimate survivors of things. But you are leveraging some accusation against him. It's not really that serious, though, when you really look at it.
Any kind of accusations at Apoy. Draw your own conclusions from this. I ain't saying anything. Then there were 2 different statements that Apoy put out. First, the Dipper archives these tweets because the Twitter is now deleted, where the first screenshot is them tweeting, "I'm going to respond to Jellyworm's tweet that they made about me." Jellyworm is Leafy. What happened is true. I did ask them to do that. I won't act like I didn't do that, but I immediately backed off from the topic because they weren't comfortable. After they said they didn't want to do that, I proceeded to not mention stuff like that to them, especially since the reaction they had was pretty bad. I do realize the timing couldn't have been worse, so I'm not going to say they shouldn't feel like that. It was a really bad move for me. But at the same time, if I backed off from the topic and then we proceeded to be friends like normal in the next couple of weeks, wouldn't it have made more sense to have told me that it still bothered you? I feel like telling someone a problem they have is a better approach. Instead of making a tweet telling the whole wide world about a very private thing like my alt, which I entrusted you with because of our friendship.
Which I agree, it probably was best to not come forward with this. This definitely could have stayed off the internet, I agree. They probably shouldn't have posted this. Again, I don't think they were trying to be malicious about it. I think it was just more they thought something really bad happened to them. But I agree. They definitely shouldn't have like came forward with this accusation because it definitely a lot of people on the internet are very cancel hungry. And even if you say I'm not trying to cancel this person, even if you like intention wise you weren't trying to cancel him, there's a lot of people on the internet who are very hungry to cancel people. And so like this definitely could potentially have an impact on Apoy's career for sure.
I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling like that, but we could have at least talked about it and things might have gotten better. But yeah, I'm not even gonna try to defend myself with this one. What I did was fucked up. Feel free to unfollow or block me. I won't hold that against you.
I don't think it's that deep. To be like actually absolutely real with you. It was in a reasonable age gap, you know. He was 21, she was 17. We did the age calculator. It's a 3-year, 4-month age gap. So I think the age gap is perfectly fine. I don't really find it to be an issue. And even if you find the age gap to be an issue, even if you think, hey, I think that's inappropriate, that's fine. You're allowed to think that. I don't think it's like the worst thing ever that needs to ruin his life forever. But yeah, like honestly, I feel like this didn't need to make it to the internet. I feel like this could have just stayed off the internet for the most part. I don't think anyone was being malicious. I think both the person involved, the accuser and Apoy, I think they both can move on from this. Like they both just need to they both need to get their shit together. Obviously the accuser needs to see a therapist. I think they should see a therapist because they clearly go through a lot of mental health issues. And I pray to God that they do eventually get that help that they need. I really do, because they clearly are going through it. And also Apoy needs to. I think Apoy can move on from this. This is like not that deep.
Then Apoy makes it.
Any adult in the real world that looks at this drama will look at it and be like, this is really like stupid. This is dumb. This is like really not that deep.
They post it saying, I'll try to gather my thoughts better with a Google Doc when I can. And they quote tweeted this on August 8th with a Google Doc saying, finally collected every thought I had about what happened. Feel free to read whenever. And then the Google Doc starts off by saying, explaining. Due to my recent allegations, I'm going to explain in further details my side of the story between me and Jelly.
You don't have to. We've seen everything. You don't got to explain anything. You can move on. You're fine. We don't even need to read any of this. This is like so dumb. I mean, I guess we will read it for the video because like we're getting pretty close. So I guess we might as well. Okay, fine. I think we do speed this up though. I think we just speed it up.
for my wrongdoings, and overall go into more details over the whole situation that happened. Apologies that the document took a lot of time. I needed time to gather every thought I had about the situation, plus I've been busy myself, so I'm sorry if this took way longer than what most people would have preferred. Finally, if this document is too long for you, there's a TLDR version at the end of the document if you prefer to check that out instead of the full thing. History with Jelly. It started around the start of 2025, if I remember correctly. It was around the time Jelly was on their own controversy about their controversial white leafy drawings. And they attached this image of two characters where one
Wait, what? What controversial leaf drawings? What the hell?
character is holding a pride flag and a trans flag behind them and saying, "Hey, can you burn something for me?" And the document continues.
Oh! Oh, that's not... Oh, that's, Oh, geez, that's... Yeah, that's, I mean, okay, to be fair, listen, if we're gonna... When did this happen? At the start of 2025, around the time... Okay, so they were, like, 17 at this point. Listen, obviously, this is not good. This is obviously, like, not a thing you should be doing. But also, they were 17 years old. They're obviously still very young. They obviously don't seem to be in the right space mentally. So I don't know. It's not good to do, but they were so young to the point where I'm just not I'm not gonna litigate this over them forever, right? Like, they're obviously still very, very young, and it's very edgy to do.
Drawings. And they attach this image of two characters where one character is holding a pride flag and a trans flag behind them and saying, "Hey, can you burn something for me?" And the document continues. When that was happening, I felt bad for Jelly because of how much harassment and hate they were getting, even though it made some sense considering what the controversy was about in the first place. So I decided to message them to see if they were doing okay. And then they attached the message that it looks like they sent to Jelly, where a person on YouTube says, "Hello, I saw that you weren't doing mentally well recently, and I just wanted to let you know that, even though we don't really talk, I'd be willing to sit down and try my best to listen to your problems, as I've seen you're having some problems to deal with. I'd be happy to help you out in any way I can. Sorry if I'm bothering you. You can ignore this DM if you don't want my help. I understand either way. I hope you'll feel better soon though. I like your art and you do seem like a cool person, so just know that things will get better either way. Hope you feel better, Salem." And the document continues. From there, we started talking more, and we ended up being pretty good friends. We would play some games, be on BC, and even made a reaction together to a BFDI episode, which I'll obviously not show for privacy reasons. We then arrive around April, where it was...
Why would you not show it? I mean, what privacy reasons would that even be? Was it just like a private reaction video you did? If it's a public one, like, why not just show it at that point? It's already public.
around the time I was getting harassed for that one pillow tweet I made. And when I then said I'd take a break, I did mean that I'd not be around in my Apoy account, since being on that account just made my mental health get worse, whereas I'd be in my alt. Since there, I did not feel any kind of judgment. You could call that...
I think that's a real feeling. He probably does feel that way. I mean, like, listen... When you're a content creator and you have such, like, a high platform, you have such a huge platform, I guess there's probably, like, a huge level of stress that comes with having such a huge platform like that. And so, like, being on your alt account as, like, a private account with some closer friends could be, like, a nice escape. I think that's, it probably is, like, a legitimate feeling that they have.
All my comfort zone in a way. But yeah, during that month, I would not check my Apoy account on Discord a lot, especially since changing accounts on mobile is extremely annoying, with having to always put your email and password every single time. So when I checked on my Apoy account after a couple days of not checking it, I met with a wall of text of Jelly talking about ending themselves, or at least attempting to do it. And then they attached the DM that we already read earlier, where Leafy says what I'm about to say is going to be incredibly selfish, and the document continues. I was of course worried, so I started spamming messages of worrying, as I was obviously scared that Jelly may have actually done it. And then they attach again the messages we skimmed over of them spamming. And the document continues. There are more messages, but I feel like it'd be too repetitive to show it all here. Luckily, they didn't, but this did make me realize that I couldn't keep an eye on them if they remained on the Apoy account. So I thought the best solution was to invite them in the Kin account. That way I could keep an eye on them without having to worry. So no, I didn't get them on that account for fetish purposes or to hide my identity. It was simply to have an easier way to keep track of them without having to worry that they might do something bad to themselves. While the account itself is for fetish purposes, I do have some friends on that account just so I can talk to them more that way, because again, mobile Discord is a pain in the ass when it comes to switching accounts. And then they attach this new DM between both of them, where Leafy says, "You told me not to do anything, so I didn't." And Apoy replies, "Okay, that's good. Yeah. Okay, so like I was very worried. I didn't give you a proper message before leaving. You felt really alone. I'm sorry." And Leafy says, "I don't think you should be." And Apoy replies, "I believe I should be." And Leafy says, "You needed a break, and I found out through your Twitter anyway." And Apoy says, "You didn't have anyone else to talk to. I should have taken you with my break." I say that mostly because while I was having a break, I didn't like turn off social and whatnot. I just switched to another account of mine. It's an account that I basically use whenever I either have free time or need to detox from my main. Then the document continues. After around like 8 hours, we did go back to having simpler conversations.
Yeah, look, like I said, people feel very pressured to be there for someone, especially mentally. Especially a lot of people are younger in these spaces. A lot of people are like extremely young in these spaces. And so a lot of these people who have legitimate mental health problems, and like when they're going through something, there's like a certain level of pressure that can happen, and that within itself can be like a legitimate like trauma that people go through. And so like it kind of checks out with what I said about trauma bonding. Maybe not in like the traditional like trauma bonding sense or how it like typically happens, but like I still think that like kind of applies here for sure.
So I wrongfully thought the whole S situation was over, which then did lead me into asking that question. I, of course, shouldn't have asked that in the first place. That I'm very much aware of now, especially considering the awful timing. But I should specify that after I asked and after...
I do think people really need to have a conversation about, like, a lot of the kids specifically in this community having legitimate mental health problems. I think we really do need to have that conversation. I think that's like probably the most important conversation we should take away from this, like most importantly, because that's it. This has been happening in the Object Show community for fucking years now. Like, so many people come into these communities as an escape from like a lot of either bad shit in their personal life or just like a lot of these people don't really have high self-esteem anyway. So we need to, I don't know, I think there's like a very important conversation to have here about that specifically and not the actual accusation itself.
they rightfully denied, I backed off and apologized for even asking, not bringing up the topic ever again after that moment, as I realized it was really uncalled for. In fact, I wanted to make it up to Jelly for that, which is why I commissioned an artist to make an art of 2 of Jelly's designs of Eggy and Pillow, to which they were pretty happy to hear at the time. And then they attached this DM of Ken messaging Jelly, where Ken says, hey Senna, look, attaching the arts, isn't this cute? I made a commission with someone with your Eggy and Pillow designs, isn't it awesome? And Leafy says, what, 3 times. Then the messages continue, where Ken says, yeah, Leafy says, who? Ken says, someone called Redacted. Leafy says, I don't know who that is, but this is the sweetest thing ever. Ken says, true, they look super cute. I hope that makes you feel better on whatever happened with you. And Leafy says, it does. Also, yeah, that's why I didn't respond. And Ken says, that's okay, don't worry. And the document continues. So after I backed off, apologized, and made them a gift to make up for what I said, and to generally show support, we went back to talking normally as per usual. So I assumed that the whole thing was forgiven and we just moved on. Hence why I didn't think much of it afterwards. Some friends of mine do know that I can be pretty oblivious and a little unintentionally forward, so I always make sure to let people know that if I said something that hurt them or was wrong to say, they'd let me know so that I can apologize and learn from it. I don't exactly remember if I specifically told Jelly that too, but I thought it was important to point out at the very least. We pretty much talked regularly-ish until like the first day of August, which is why I assumed everything was okay, and was then surprised to see them calling me out on Twitter. Then they attached them deeming about games on August 1st, with the caption, this being our last conversation before everything happened, and the document continues. That's pretty much how things went down. I understand that I shouldn't have asked them that question in the first place, especially considering the awful timing, and I take a full responsibility for that, and I once again apologize for even asking them that question, but I don't think that terms that I've seen, like for example manipulative, fit the situation, even if it makes sense from an outside perspective. It seems like that when you look at the situation without the context on my end, but I did not persist and or keep bothering them with such things, nor did I invite them on my alt for fetish purposes in mind or to hide my identity to cover it up. I already explained that I only invited them on that account simply to be able to talk to them more regularly.
Yeah, listen, none of this really matters that much. I just don't care. Like, this whole situation really just does not matter that much. It's like, I don't know. Like, they both can move on from this. This situation really just does not seem that deep. It really just seems like a huge nothing burger. I don't think the accuser was trying to be malicious when she came forward with it. I don't think Apoy was super malicious. He doesn't leverage, or they don't leverage their power in any way against her. He doesn't, they don't say like, hey, if you don't do this for me, I will, you know, I'll go to your family and ruin your reputation with your family or something. Or if you do this for me, I'll kill myself or something or whatever. Like some shit like that. They don't do anything like that. They don't leverage their power in any way.
Since I was not on my Apoy account that much, and keeping Jelly only on my Apoy account resulted in me.
So yeah, this whole thing just really does not seem like a nothing burger. How much more of this do we really need to read? Oh, a fucking Reddit reacts to this? Okay. I guess we'll look at the Reddit reactions. I don't really know if we need to... Hold on. Let me just see. Also, since people are assuming that I've been using ChatGPT for my videos, I never did. When I told Jelly about ChatGPT helping me at times, I was ordering things like homework and various other random questions I had, not stuff on my own analysis video. Okay, I don't care. I don't care about ChatGPT. Like, a lot of people are... Like, there's... AI is, like, a huge conversation people are having. If you use AI to help you out with stuff, I don't care as much. Like, Listen, if you want to know more about my stance on AI, like, go watch my Markiplier video. I did a video on the Markiplier AI situation. I go into it a lot more in depth with that video specifically. Yeah, I don't think we need to read any of this. This whole thing just doesn't really matter. Hate for non-existing. It seems like the worst of the allegations we've already gone through. The age gap is perfectly fine. It's, like, really not that big of a deal. Even if you find the age gap to be inappropriate, I don't think it's, like, the worst thing ever. I don't think it needs to ruin Apoy's life forever. My advice to Apoy is just don't talk to anyone under 18 anymore. All right, don't be stupid. Don't be dumb, all right? That just, like, from this point forward, just, like, don't talk to anyone under 18, all right? This girl, I don't think this girl is traumatized from this this interaction specifically either. She definitely has mental health problems for sure. She definitely has a lot of mental health issues, but from this interaction alone, I don't think she's going to be super traumatized from it. I really don't think it's like that deep. I guess we'll look at the Reddit reactions, and I think we'll call it there, because I don't think we really need to... Listen, I think they both can just move on from this. I don't think there's anything else we need to read from this response. Like, we really, like, I don't care. Not to be a dick, but, like, this whole situation really does not matter.
Then over on the Battle for Dream Island
Let's slow down the video.
subreddit, person that is random takes Apoy's PFP and draws it's over, and title said, I honestly don't know what to say regarding what Apoy did. Snack that eats an
I don't think it's that deep. I really don't think it's that deep. I looked through all of it. His response is kind of just seems like a nothing burger. Like I said, all the interactions really boiled down to, I don't even think these people were dating. They were just talking. They were within a reasonable age range. And then he asked to send a fart, or he asked her to send a fucking fart to satisfy his fetish. And then she said no. So that's really what it boiled down to. They probably trauma bonded to some extent. I think we do need to have a legitimate conversation about the mental health of some of these people and some of these kids in the community.
3 a.m. says, what'd he do? And Road Open replies, owned a BFDI fart Discord server. And
that's the worst crime of all. How could you own a fart Discord? That is the worst thing you could ever do. Jeffrey Epstein? Nah, forget it. Like, this is worse than that. This goes beyond that. It's like literally Fartstein Island on the Discord server. Forget it, bro. This is terrible.
Tried to force an S minor to fart in her mic so he can imagine Aggie and Pillow doing it. And if you're skeptical...
Okay, so just to be clear, the age gap was 17, 21. It was 3 years and 4 months, so I don't care that much personally. And like, the age gaps are really not that big of a deal.
A Twitter reply, he literally confirmed this was all true. But again, just to clarify, based on the person's actual statement, this is one we also showed in the intro. Leafy said, okay, the proper timeline was that he followed me in November 2024 and wanted to be friends from my Fire Effie February art. I turned 18 on March 29th. He DM'd me exactly 7 days after that.
Oh, wait, so it's actually, hold on, the age gap is actually 3 years and 3 months. Not that that matters that much, but like, I thought the birthday was April 28th. But apparently you turn 18 on March 29th, so it's actually a month prior to that. Okay, I guess I got that. I was wrong by 1 month, so it's 3 years and 3 months. Okay, again, I still don't care. Either way, it doesn't matter.
April 5th and asked him for that thing 23 days later, April 28th. But going back over to Reddit, OA Situation replies, why can't OSC creators be normal? Like, dang, someone's gonna milk someone's situation to death. And No Peanut replies, drama equals free views.
Hey, listen, man, I love drama slop. That's why I cover it. It also gets me some views, even though the channel is like fairly small. We're still like rebuilding, you know. Listen, I love drama slop. I used to do a lot of drama slop before a lot of my other content stuff. So, hey, listen. I think it's important to have intelligent conversations about situations, and yeah, it's just, I don't know, I like it. It's a fun thing to talk about, so that's why we do Drama Slop.
Nicole this morning says, a lot of people are missing the issue. The problem isn't that he has a fart fetish. The issue is that he attempted to solicit someone fresh out of an S attempt to engage with his fetish.
That doesn't matter. That literally doesn't, I don't care. That doesn't matter. Like, listen, you're trying, essentially what this person is saying is that they're trying to they're abusing a power dynamic by asking someone just out of a suicide attempt for a fetish. Now, your best argument is like, that was probably inappropriate timing. You shouldn't have done it right after their suicide attempt. It's just inappropriate boundaries. You should work out boundaries better. That's really like what that comes down to. That's very, very inappropriate. But, like, that's not a condemnation of something he deserves to be canceled for his entire life. He doesn't, what would make it really predatory is if he leveraged that power. And he said, listen, if you do send me your farts, I'll do this for you. Or if you don't send me your farts, you should kill yourself and go through with it. Then that is an abuse of power, for sure. That's definitely very manipulative. But, like, he doesn't do anything like that. Or they don't do anything like that. I keep forgetting that they're non-binary. I'm sorry.
Sufficient Market replies, yeah, like, I don't give a shit about fetishes, maybe because I'm asexual. They just look all the same for me. ST100 from Scratch says, first it was attempting to rig the votes to make Pillow safe, and now this? And Late Tier replies, dude, he did not rig the votes, but yeah.
Bro, most of these people giving their opinions and weighing in on this situation are literal fucking children. Like, it's just like, a lot of these people haven't really lived their life yet. They haven't really lived in the real world yet. Most of these people are literal fucking children.
Not good. Shout out to our Tier 3 members, Internet Representatives at Kiko, Sal, Dakota's Bandito, Captain Crashout, and 19 Kilometers.
Hey, 19 Kilometers. I see him in Papa Guts chat all the time.
Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see you all in the next episode.
Wow, there sure is a lot of nothing on this burger.